Hello class and welcome back. Now in our last two videos we have gone through and created a new Adobe ID and should have downloaded Adobe Illustrator through the Adobe Creative Cloud desktop application. This demo again is for Macintosh computers. If you have a PC, no worries. You should be able to find the video right beside this one in lesson 1. For some reason you don't see that, please let me know immediately. So now that we've downloaded Creative Cloud and have downloaded the program Illustrator, we can now start going through the interface items, and I'm going to show you where things like the tools are, palettes are, etc., and kind of how to work your way around the interface. So if you're on a Mac, you can go to Launchpad, and you can see right here I have Adobe Illustrator, CC 2015. And so I'm going to open that. You can see it pops down your dock. If you want this to stay there, feel free to double click or command click and do options, keep in dock, and that'll keep it there. Whenever the program opens, you will get this welcome screen. Now your welcome screen usually is just more information about different inspiration articles, tips and techniques, features, so on and so forth. But it does have this useful bit of information up in the upper right, and it tells me, like I would expect, 30 days are left in my trial. Please use this to your advantage. Know how many days are left in your trial, so if you have to miss class for any reason or you're falling a little bit behind, you know exactly how much longer you have use of the software before your access ends. And again, if for some reason this reaches 0 before the end of the course, but you still need to access the software, just let me know. We'll make sure that you get access where you need it. Oh, sorry, I was already downloading a couple other programs to go through the interfaces, so I'll come back to that in a moment. So again, welcome screen for Illustrator. I'm just going to exit out of that and close my panel. Now this is what I call the vanilla Illustrator interface. This is right out of the box, nothing changed, nothing adjusted. If for some reason your interface does not look like this, you need to go immediately up to this tab where it says Essentials and click Reset Essentials. You may have this little panel that pops out. If you do, just click this little double arrow part. That's not a problem. So one of the things you'll notice if you're used to working on a PC in the past and have moved to a Mac, in a PC, Illustrator is actually one big window, whereas here in the Mac you have different elements. I can take this and drag it over here. I can take this and drag it over here. I can take this element and drag it down here, and so on and so forth. Again, to reset that, just go to Window, Workspace, Reset Essentials. But one of the big things is you notice I can see my desktop through it. Now for me, personally, this is extremely distracting. If I've got a lot of files on my desktop, if I've got things in the background, browser videos, it's just, I'm not a big fan of that layout. It also makes it hard when you're working on dual monitor screens. So say you have your laptop hooked up to another screen and want to use both screens at once. It makes it kind of hard to move the program around. So what I suggest is going to Window, Application Frame, and making sure this is checked. This brings up probably the more traditional view of Illustrator where you have your maximize, minimize, close buttons, panels are all in the right place, and it's all one window set. So I can take this and drag it around, and it all moves together. This is how I prefer to do it. If you want to have it the other way, I don't recommend it, but you can come over here and decheck Application Frame to make it go back to normal. So right off the bat, you'll notice, again, we have pretty much 3 major areas. We have the menu bar and dock, which is this area up here. We have the tools palette, which includes all the different tools you'll use to manipulate and create shapes while inside of Illustrator. And you have your other palettes over here where you have things like color, swatches, cooler for color themes, symbols, brushes, strokes, gradients, so on and so forth. This won't always be true, but as a general rule, all the tools that you'll use in this program are going to be things that you actually directly manipulate shapes with. You click and drag a shape with your selection tool. You make a selection with your magic wand tool. You draw a shape with your pen tool. You type something with your type tool. It's all these actions of creating new objects. With your perspective tool, you create new perspective shapes, so on and so forth. Whereas everything on your right are going to be things about manipulating the styles and appearances of the things you've created with the tools on the left. I want to change my colors. I want to look at complementary colors. I want to have a theme. I want to have a new swatch. I want to add a symbol. I want to define a brush. I want to add a stroke. So again, everything on the left used for creation of elements. Everything on the right is for manipulation of elements. Adding color, adding stroke, changing appearance, changing transparency, gathering assets, working with layers, everything of that nature. Now this top bar is actually empty right now, but you'll see in a moment once we start going that different tools and things will pop up in this dock area with additional options and things that you can do to the shapes, or setting fonts, or kerning or tracking, things like that. So to get started in Mac, you go to File, New, or Command N. It's going to bring you to this new document dialog. I'm just going to leave mine the same. Everything's fine here for right now. But just so you know, we have the number of artboards here. Artboards are a very important part of Illustrator. Basically, an artboard serves like a page. You can have multiple artboards per document, just like you can have multiple pages in a Word file. And each artboard is its own isolated environment. And while you can drag things in the space between artboards, if I was to save this as a PDF, every artboard would be represented as its own shape. So, great way to keep everything organized. For now, I'm just going to leave. All right, so something I want to point out about this new document panel is you notice that we have, our size, name, all that's the same. Again, I've already explained about the artboards. Down here, you notice we have our width and height. These are in kind of weird increments, and if you've never worked in a graphic design position before, you probably don't know what PT means. PT simply means points. Simply put, points are a unit of measurement that graphic designers use to get extreme precision. For example, this is letter size. So this is an 8.5 inch by 11 inch document, which is made up by 612 points by 792 points. Another unit of measurement in here that you might not be familiar with are picas. Points and picas are directly related. For example, there are 12 points for every pica. And you see there are 51 picas per an 8.5 inch document. Basically, this will allow you to have this allows you again to have extra precision. Most of the time you'll be working in inches in this class, don't worry, but I thought it would be useful to point these out. Of course, if you are a millimeter fan, you can also go to millimeters, centimeters, or even pixels. So for now, I'm just going to switch to inches so you can see everything. You have your bleed and slug settings, which we'll go into later. And for now, we're just going to hit OK. So this is what your standard environment looks like after you've opened a document. You have your tab bar up in the upper left. Again, file name, the zoom level, the color mode, and what kind of mode you have in, whether it's preview mode or so on and so forth. Up here in your dock, you can see this has changed. Right here, it tells me we have no selection, which would be accurate. We don't have anything selected. Our basic defaults for color, stroke, stroke width, stroke type, what kind, opacity, so on and so forth. And you also have document setup and preferences. Document setup's great. You can go up here if you need to change the amount of inches or change your grid colors or edit your artboards. All that can be done here. You can also change your preferences for all your different program instances. Again, we won't really worry about this right now. We will be coming to the grid and guides part in our first project to kind of manipulate that, but you won't be in here very often. Big thing you need to know is how all this changed once you actually start working with objects. So for example, I'm going to come to my rectangle tool. I want to draw a shape. That shape is now highlighted in blue and has all these different points and everything highlighted. And you see that is highlighted up here as rectangle. The color is white. The stroke is black. Now I can come in here and change this to blue. Now my color is blue. I can come in here and change my stroke to, let's see, we'll change it to red so it's a little bit easier to see. And we'll make it larger. Make it 9 points. And so you can see as I manipulate these, when I have my shape selected, I can see that it's a rectangle. I can change everything. Now if I click off of here, you can see that it actually keeps the same items as my last shape. That's in case I want to come back in here and draw another one. It actually keeps everything in there. This is a little bit different. Sometimes in the Microsoft environment or in the Windows environment, your settings don't necessarily say, whereas in the Mac environment, your settings pretty much stay until you clear them away. So if you start drawing shapes and you notice they're the wrong stroke or color, then definitely get on here and check your basic settings once you go into your tools. To give you an idea of what these over here do, I can come over here now and I can pick a new color using my color picker. I can come in here and select a new swatch. I can come in here and set a gradient. Again, all these are about manipulating the things that I've created with the tools on the left side. You can also see if I come in here and, for example, create a type tool, I can come in here and just type in some gibberish, and now I have a completely different set of tools up here in my dock. If I highlight these, I can come in here. I can change actually the stroke on the letters. I can come in here and click my character panel and change a new font, so on and so forth. So again, you can do all of that from your dock area. It's a great place to kind of pull everything together. Paragraph rules, if I want to center it, all those kind of items are going to be found in your dock. Now, another big difference between the Mac version of Illustrator and the Windows version of Illustrator is this top menu bar. Usually this would be part of your actual program in Windows. In a Mac, you can see it's completely separate. I can pull this away, and as long as I'm selected on Illustrator, I can access those Illustrator tools. But if I select my background, you can see this changes the Finder. Not a big deal, just make sure to have Illustrator selected before you try to save or do anything, or you might accidentally not save your work before you close out of it. Again, I'm going to close out of this panel. So we're back to basics here, our standard objects. Again, if you need to change your workspace, just come in here. Again, in most of this class, we're going to stay in Essentials. If you want to explore the other ones for painting or printing and proofing or tracing or web type, whatever, feel free to explore those, but always make sure that you reset it back to Essentials, as that's where we'll be working in a majority of this course. Now, if you have any questions about the Illustrator interface before you begin on your first project, again, please let me know. Contact me at pferris@mc.edu, or post your question to the Hope and General News forum on the website, on the Moodle page. When you do that, other students have opportunities to come in and answer. And remember, for every question that you answer of another student's successfully on the news forum, you actually earn bonus points in this class. Again, I want to reward those students that really try to help their fellow students out and help work through answers or questions throughout these projects. Again, in our next video, we will take a look at the interface for Photoshop, the raster drawing program, and then we'll wrap up in the next video after that with a video on the InDesign interface. Again, once you work around Adobe, all the interfaces will start to kind of blend together over time. They're all very similar, but they all kind of have these minute differences, and that's what we'll really be exploring in these next two videos.